Are we ready for Kouri Richins, guys? We are 3 days in, and there's a lot to talk about. I've got a whole bunch of clips I want to show you. Some that I don't think you'll see anywhere else because snark is a thing. And it just flows forth from me. This one in particular, one of the defense attorneys, so freaking annoying on day one, completely changed it up on day two, and I'm betting I know why. Let's get into it. If you're new here, I am Annette Lyon, USA Today bestselling author of the suspense novel Just One More and a whole bunch of other stuff. The Kouri Richins case, if you're unfamiliar with it, it is a murder case, murder trial going on right now. Kouri Richins is accused of the murder of her husband, Erin Richins. He died in March of 2022, and she is accused of attempting to murder him on Valentine's Day, 3 weeks before that, as well as she is charged with multiple counts of insurance fraud and forgery. Now, she also is going to be charged with, she has been charged with a mortgage fraud, multiple counts of that, but those counts have been severed from this case. The judge is going to have them at a later time. So they aren't quite as related to this, although it's all intermingled. The motives that we have here, opening statements from the state, very damning. If they can prove everything, it's the classic motives that we have here. Kouri Richins had a boyfriend, and she was unhappy in her marriage, and she was in massive, massive debt with her own. She had a house flipping business in real estate, and she was in so much debt. She was paying off one loan with another, and then she couldn't actually pay it back, and the high interest rates and this and that, and she was desperate. Something like $4.5 million, I think is what they said, that she was like in dire need of getting right away. And she also, so the insurance fraud includes opening up at least one insurance policy under her husband's name and forging his signature. And all of this to pay off her debt and then be with her new guy. One disturbing element is that about a year after he died, she puts out this children's book that she self-published that is supposed to help children who are going through the grief of losing a parent. So supposedly this is to help her 3 little boys get past the grief of losing their father, which is its own special kind of diabolical evil, if you ask me. Eric died of fentanyl poisoning. So the state alleges that on that Valentine's Day that she laced a sandwich with fentanyl. He took a couple of bites. He got very ill. You do know this much. She claims later that she was with him all day. Cell phone records prove actually she was not, and she was with her boyfriend. But he was texting her saying, I feel really sick. If this doesn't get better, I'm going to go to the ER. He took a nap and apparently kind of slept it off. So it sounds like he didn't eat enough of the sandwich to be poisoned entirely or to do the job. So allegedly she went to her little drug dealer and said, I need something stronger. I need more of it, something to that effect. And then the second time she put it into an alcoholic drink. So there's Moscow Mule. There's also a lemon drop. Who knows which you put it in. There's also talk of THC gummies. There's been so much talk about the gummies, which is weird. I'm not entirely sure why. He died of fentanyl poisoning. The whole thing is, did she poison him? Was it an accidental overdose on his part? He doesn't have a history of illicit drug use beyond the THC gummies, which the family seems to indicate that she was the one taking the gummies, not him. He didn't have THC in his blood. Now, the defense, who's headed up by Katie Nestor, who, side note, is also on the defense team for Tyler Robinson, who was the one accused of offing Charlie Kirk. She did the opening statement for the defense. I was not that impressed, to be honest. She made some good, interesting points, like, there are a lot of facts that both sides are going to agree on. We just will differ on our interpretation of them. She put up that classic optical illusion where if you look at it one direction, it's a beautiful young woman. If you look at it another way, it's an old lady, like a witch. And so she says that the state will try to tell you it's the old witch, and I'm going to tell you that no, it's an innocent young woman. But she did things like say, oh, I forgot to say this part. Oh yeah. And I'm like, okay, like, hi, I've got ADHD, I get it, but this is an opening statement on a very important case. You'd think you would practice and have it rehearsed and have all your notes and have everything just down. So it just didn't come across as polished or professional. And then she also said a couple of things that I'm like, that sounds a little weird. Forging her husband's signature. Who's to say he didn't know she was doing it? And what wife hasn't forged her husband's signature occasionally when it's been like more convenient and he knows about it? I'm thinking, what? Why? Who does that? On what planet is that normal? I've never, no. Been married over 30 years, guys, and I've never forged my husband's signature on anything and never wanted to. That's wrong. That's against the law. Shouldn't have to be said. Those are opening statements. Our first witness was Eric's dad. And it was very touching. He gave a really good idea of what Eric was like as a person, how he was so proud of his son. He was a hard worker. The family had a ranch that he worked on, and that, his dad was hoping to pass along to him someday. Here's just a really quick glimpse of what his father is like, because you can tell the emotion. This is a man who does not emote a lot, and he's one of those tough farmers, and yet you can tell he dearly loved his son.
You mentioned that you raised him to have a strong work ethic, to be grounded in family, and to do well in school. Did you see those qualities in him as an adult?
I did. I was very, very proud of him.
Just, the little catch in his voice gets you every time. The second witness was Eric's sister, also named Katie. So we've got Katie Nestor, the lawyer, on the defense side, and we have Kouri Richins-benson. So we called her Richins-benson throughout. She was very, very close to Eric. When she first arrived on the scene, she immediately said, "I'm his power of attorney. I'm involved with his will," and all of that. And she sounds like she knew, or at least suspected early on, that something is up with Kouri and this is a problem. It seemed like the defense almost was trying to make that sound like somehow nefarious, that she immediately was saying, "Hey, I'm in charge of this stuff." I think she was just covering her bases. That's just my own opinion. There's some interesting little clips here from his sister. Thinking back to the Banfield trial that we just did, the au pair double murder trial. And when we saw Brendan Banfield on the stand and just how cold he was, describing supposedly the worst day of his life when his wife was murdered, supposedly in front of him. He's now been convicted of doing it. Just see the difference in emotion between someone just, "Oh yeah, she had holes in her neck, and she's bleeding out," versus this is Eric's sister, and just she's trying to get herself together on the stand.
Did you go to Eric's house?
Yeah, we went straight to my brother's house.
Who was there when you arrived?
Sorry, guys. This was the worst day of my life. I'm sorry.
Just so heartbreaking. And also looking at her, to me, I could see, you know what? She looks a lot like Eric. I think you could tell, especially around the eyes, that they're siblings. You could tell. As a mother of four, I would think that Kouri's reaction would be, "Are my boys okay? They can't see their father this way. Protect my sons." That apparently was not the case. Here's what Katie says about that.
Police everywhere. There was EMS. I didn't know everything that was going on, but I didn't want the boys right there where everyone was. There's police right outside their door. So I went and got them and took them upstairs over the garage. There's a bonus room. And they had everything in there. They had a TV, a Nintendo, all their toys in there. So I took them up there because I didn't want them by all the hustle and bustle of all the police and everything. So I took them up there, got them situated, then ran outside to my car to get my husband and my two daughters so that my husband could watch the boys and make sure that they were okay.
She describes when she arrived at the house and how she remembered Kouri having her hair up like it had been styled. It was in a messy bun, so that's one of those things like you could have slept in it potentially. Who knows if she'd actually done? I don't know. I don't know any of that. Obviously, it wasn't there. Ms. Nestor later then tries to catch her out and, oh, you don't remember this accurately. Because you said she was wearing a sweatsuit. And Katie herself was like, well, let's see what she actually said. And then what Ms. Nestor tries to call her out on, which that's not what it was.
She was not how she normally was when we would go on overnights. She was very well put together. She had a matching pajama-esque outfit on. Her hair was all done up.
Okay, did you hear that? She had a matching pajama-esque outfit on.
She had a matching pajama-esque outfit on.
A matching pajama outfit. Okay, that's what she said. Now let's see what Ms. Nestor tries to like impeach her with on her memory.
Sure. So both of you had messy hair, and she's also clearly wearing pajamas. Does that refresh your memory that she's not in a sweatsuit? She was in pajamas.
I am not a fashionista, so to me that's a sweatsuit or pajamas.
Yeah, she didn't actually say sweatsuit. She said pajamas. A matching pajama-esque outfit. She did not say a sweatsuit. But when Ms. Nestor calls her on it, she doesn't remember what she had actually said, which frustrates me. And then here's what then Ms. Nestor says immediately after that, kind of being, and watch the little smirk on her face.
Memory about that was clearly wrong.
Look at a smile.
It was 4 years ago.
Okay. And everything you're testifying about here about that morning was 4 years ago. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Implying that everything you're saying is incorrect. Which pisses me off. Some things might have been off. Like she did not recall that Kouri came and hugged her. But I also imagine that Kouri didn't give a very warm hug. It wasn't a hug that was comforting, or she would have remembered it, in my opinion. The next little part that Katie talks about was, again, this is a concern for the boys. Again, Kouri has 3 little sons. Listen to this.
Interactions that morning with her boys.
There weren't any until
There weren't
later
any
in the
interactions
morning.
With the boys.
So, like I told you, my husband stayed up with the boys. I went up and down. My sister came up and down. A few people came up and down to check on the boys. I did not see her go up and check on the boys. And I repeatedly asked her, when can we tell the boys? I think we need to tell the boys. I kept coming down saying, I think the boys need to know. It wasn't until they wheeled my brother's body out, and I stood by the stairs, at the top of the stairs, to make sure my nephews didn't come out to see, because we didn't want it to see. And my husband was in the room with them. So they wheeled my brother's body out. My husband did his best. My daughter was throwing up, and he was trying to block it from the boys so that they didn't see my brother being wheeled out. The boys did see my brother being wheeled out. My husband came out and told me that they were upset. And so we walked down and talked to Lisa, Kouri's mom, and Kouri again, and I said, the boys are really upset. They just saw Eric wheeled out. I think we need to tell them. And Lisa said, I guess we better. And Kouri said, yep, bring him down. So then we brought him down. And that's the first I saw her interact with him.
Mother of the year. Their aunt, these 3 little boys have an aunt and an uncle who are far more loving and compassionate and connected and concerned over their welfare than their own mother. Blows my mind. Now, there's also a point where here's a little bit of body cam where Kouri and her mother, Lisa, are talking and insisting that the boys know that their father died and that a police officer told them. Not the case. They actually saw the body being wheeled out. He was covered. I think he was in a body bag at that point, but they saw it through the window. So Katie's husband, Clint, was unable to block the window entirely. The boys saw it through the window. But for some reason, Lisa and Kouri decide to insist that, oh no, That's not what happened. A cop must have said something. So here's the body cam of that.
Kouri said a cop told him. Why would you tell a child?
No, they shouldn't have told him. I asked everyone
Oh.
not to tell him.
They all know. They told me.
How do they know?
Carter told me, a cop told me.
Would they have told him?
No, I wouldn't think.
We were in there, so we were maybe a fire
Do they
department.
know?
Maybe they, yeah,
Oh my freaking God. Oh my God.
No. So yeah, the cop himself is confused. Like, well, we were in there. Like, they didn't see anything. And so this is one of those things where I think it's like a game of telephone. Where if Lisa's saying, well, Carter says the cops told him. Carter saw his father's body being wheeled out by an emergency person. So he's like, well, I saw the cops, or I heard the cops talking, or something like that. The cops did not tell the children. Katie's husband, Clint, he's a real estate agent, a realtor, and he has taken care of the house since then. He put up security cameras to make sure that the house would be secure. And they've done, I think, 3 different searches on the house since, like 1 a year, basically, since all of this happened. So the house is basically in the same state as it was. And he said that, the cameras are sensitive enough. It can pick up insects and all that. So that point being that they would know if someone had tried to disturb it, and talking about paperwork and business stuff and all this kind of stuff. But I wanted to just show you his reaction to talking about when the boys saw their father through the window. Because again, he has more emotion for his nephews than Kouri has in her entire body for her own.
I tried to stop the kids from going to the window, but I mean, given 5 kids up in that room, I mean, it was almost impossible. But
Was your daughter still ill at this time?
she is, yeah, she was vomiting on the floor. But
Okay.
but yeah, so I stopped the kids from going to the window. They went to the window, and I think that was when they first saw their dad being wheeled out of the home and knew that he had passed.
Okay, you said they.
Just it gets you in the feels. And to think that Katie and Clint were the ones making sure the boys were taken care of. They were the ones emotional, not Kouri. Go figure. Hard stuff. Okay, and this is what she talks about telling the boys when Kouri was going to tell the boys that their father had died.
Were you there when Kouri Richins told her sons that their father had died?
Yes, so my husband and I brought the kids down.
And what did she say?
She let them know that their dad would not be coming back, that he was gone.
Just like that?
Yes, to my recollection.
It gets worse.
Did there come a time shortly after that when she spoke alone with her middle son, Ashton?
Yeah, so right after she told the kids, Ashton got upset and went to his room. So his room was that room that they had been in. I went and checked on Ashton multiple times, and I remember him on his bed. He was on his bed with his covers pulled up, and I sat on the bed and I tried to console him, but he wanted his mom.
Of course he
I
did.
tried so hard to console him, but he wanted his mom. So I came out and told Kouri that Ashton was very upset and I thought she should go in. Took me a couple times of coming out to tell her, and I finally came out and I said, Kouri, I'm not his mom. I'm not his dad. He just lost his dad. He's very upset. I cannot console him. Can you please come in and talk to him? So she came into the room to talk to him. He got out of bed and ran to her. So they met kind of in the middle of the room. They held on to each other and then sat down on the floor, and I sat right next to him.
I'm sorry, but if my kid had just lost their parents, one of the parents, I would be trying to comfort them and make sure they're okay. But it sounds like Katie and her husband were taking care of the boys, doing their best to make sure that they didn't see their father's body or any of that. I don't understand. I don't understand if that's what Kouri actually did. That's their recollection. So something else that Ms. Nestor tried to do was like, oh, there's so much about your brother's life that he wouldn't have told you, implying that he may have been involved in illicit drug use and that Katie wouldn't have known that. So That didn't go over as well as she thought it would. So watch this and listen to how Ms. Nestor just fumbles and just her voice just trails off and she's like, oh crap. It's pretty funny.
Slide of all those gummies that were seized from Eric's. You didn't know that was in his house? He didn't share that.
I knew that Kouri had some in there. He had shared that with me.
But he didn't tell you he did.
No.
And you also, did you know that your brother drank alcohol?
I knew that he socially drank, but he was responsible.
And he chose not to do that in front of you. Is that fair?
Correct.
And it's also fair and totally understandable that your brother's not going to talk about his sex life with you.
He actually did.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Did your brother share with you that he was taking testosterone?
Yes, he did.
And you knew that?
Yes.
Did,
I'll
strike that.
I'm sorry. Is that just like a little bit of schadenfreude for me? I find a little bit of joy and like, ooh, you didn't know he was taking testosterone. Yeah, I did. Well, I'm sure he wouldn't talk about his sex life. Yeah, he did. Oh, you did know that? Oh, nice try, Nestor. Nice try. Let's talk about some of the body cam. Here's a little bit of body cam showing when they were trying to get information out of Kouri as to what happened. And she doesn't quite admit to a delay in calling 911, but there was when her phone unlocked and all this stuff. So she claims that she was sleeping in her son's room because he was having night terrors. And then around 3 o'clock in the morning, she went back to their room. And that's when she discovered her husband dead in the bed. Problem is, her phone unlocks when she first gets into the room, and it's like 15 minutes before she calls 911. So here's like when she is explaining some of that, she doesn't actually say she waited 15 minutes, but if you know, you can spot it.
Did you immediately call the 911?
Yeah, well,
No.
I mean, I got up and, well, as soon as I turned over and he was cold,
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like something was wrong. So, I mean, I just put the blanket on it because I just thought I should keep our room cold. So I just, and then I sat there for a minute and I just didn't feel like it's like breathing or anything. And so I turned the light on.
Turn the light on.
Alright, and it just felt so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
She basically says that, yeah, and and then I sat there for a while, and then I turned the light on, and then I called She waited 15 minutes, and she was walking around the house and whatnot as well. And that's the prosecution showed that they would show that in evidence. They have not yet, but that is the allegation at this point. Okay, so more body cam. This is when an EMT showed up and she's talking to the police about her experience, what she saw. And one little interesting tidbit.
Just waiting for our Emmy, OME, and our detective to show up.
Yeah. I wonder if he had an aneurysm or something with all the blood.
Okay.
I know. There's a lot of blood for no reason.
There's a lot of blood for no reason.
And there was blood before they
A little bit coming out as soon as we start doing compressions with the Lucas. It's when the blood came out. So.
Okay.
And the Lucas is a machine that does compressions for you. Well, so that paramedics, EMT, emergency people can have their hands free to be doing other things like putting in an IV line or other things. So the fact that he had blood coming out when they started doing the compressions, that we've had some people in the medical examiner's office explaining that that can be because of a drug overdose. That would be consistent with that. One last bit of body cam. This is when Katie first arrived. You can see how hysterical she is compared to before. Time is everything.
Chris will everything. I miss power of attorney. I miss everything.
You don't have
Go
to worry
upstairs.
about that kind of stuff right now.
Upstairs with the boys. Go upstairs with the boys.
So despite her own panic, she's hyperventilating for crap's sake. But she can pause enough to go, the boys and my daughters and my husband. Talk to the husband, take the girls upstairs, be with the boys. And then she can fall apart again once they're taken care of. That's what an adult and a parent does. It was her husband with the 2 girls, one of which is sick and has been throwing up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all it's natural, okay? Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Okay, I gotta breathe. Oh my God, I gotta breathe. I just talked to him like a couple hours ago. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. And he just woke up and he wasn't breathing.
And then Kouri goes on to give her version of events, which is, I always went in and he was cold and he felt heavy. And then she just repeats that on a loop. So when it came to Katie, the state wanted her to be designated a victim's representative. And that would mean that she would be allowed to be in court throughout all of the testimony, and that she would not be under the exclusionary rule. So usually witnesses are not allowed to watch testimony or be in the courtroom except when they're giving their own testimony, so their testimony won't be affected by other people or other testimony that they hear. But victims' representatives get to stay in there. So this was again, this is a bit of schadenfreude on my part, but Ms. Nestor was not happy because the state wanted Katie to be able to be a victim representative, and Ms. Nestor was like, no, because I don't want her in here. And part of it was because she did not strategically plan for this. She wanted to be able to call her as her own witness, but had never put Katie on her own witness list ever. Now, if she had done that, if she'd put Katie on her own witness list, then she could have had a fighting chance to argue, but she never did. She just assumed that the state would call her and then wouldn't make her a victim's representative. She should have put her on her own list. That's what she should have done, but she didn't. She miscalculated on that one. And just watch how disrespectful she is to the judge. This is outside of the jury's presence, but to me, the vibe is off. This is just, it's not good, Ms. Nestor. This is not good.
Ms. Nestor?
Well, we don't want to call her as a witness. We want to cross-examine her, and they're stopping me from doing that.
No. Stay focused on the issue at hand here. Co-designation of Ms. Richins-benson.
We object
And tell me why.
because the statute provides for one.
It doesn't. It provides for up to more than one.
Love this
Look
judge.
at the language of it. And so, do you have another reason?
I don't know why there's
Don't
special
like it.
circumstances that require them to have 2 in this case.
It's not a requirement. They're asking for permission.
We object
Tell me why.
because it's going to interfere with my ability to cross-examine her if I have to recall this witness and she sits through all of the testimony.
Forgive me. Have you ever listed her as a witness in your case?
We were not aware that they were going to stop me from doing this until about a day ago. So as
Is that
far,
a no, she's never been listed as a witness?
she has
Nice
never
try.
been
Nice try,
listed- I'm
Nestor.
sorry.
For example, if I search for the name Richins on
Right.
your witness list, it does not appear.
No, but we are happy to file an amended witness list and add her if I can't cross-examine her now.
You
I'd
can
prefer to cross.
cross-examine her within the scope of direct, regardless of whether she's on your witness list and regardless of whether she is a co-victim representative. The only thing this impacts is whether there's any prejudice to defendant
There-
if she's a co-witness representative who is not excluded.
So here's the problem.
So here's the problem, Ms. Nestor. The law. Look at the actual code and make an argument based on actual law and case law. Like, I'm not a lawyer and I know that. And so if the judge is looking at the actual statute and it's like, you're wrong, like, I understand that you're objecting based on what? Delightful. So let's continue.
So if she's allowed to sit through the trial, then it affects my Sixth Amendment right to cross-examine her because she's been impacted and heard the testimony of every single witness in the case.
Would you pause there? Do you mean cross-examine or direct examine?
Well, direct, when I recall her. If I cross her now,
Right.
I would do it now, But if she gets to then have the benefit of sitting through the trial and hearing everyone else's testimony, and then when I direct her, she's hostile, so I'll probably ask to cross her because she is a hostile witness and I am entitled to do that. And if that happens, then that does prejudice us because.
Can you imagine telling the judge, I'm entitled to do that? How about a little respect? Like, it would be like, as you know, Your Honor, that's within the bounds of our, yes. But she's just getting snarky. Or is it me? I don't know.
She's got the benefit of being able to shape her testimony around everybody else's that she's already listened to. So it is a prejudice. And I don't know that there's any compelling reason to let her stay that outweighs that prejudice. Or just let me do it now. I mean, that's their decision, but.
That's their decision. Just let me do it now. That's their decision. Okay, snark does not become you when you're actually in court arguing the case. That's what I get to do because I'm just commenting on the side. I'm not actually in the trial. I'm not a lawyer who's trying to defend a client in front of a judge who deserves respect. And in front of the other party, like the prosecution deserves respect. Both teams deserve respect. Ms. Nestor, you're being rude. Knock it off. Okay? Just saying.
Prejudice, and that's very real.
Okay.
Very real.
Anything further?
No.
All right.
No.
Under Utah Code 7738-9, subsection 2, the court shall designate a representative or representatives of the victim. The legislature, in crafting that language, contemplated situations in which more than one victim representative would be appropriate.
So basically, he's reading to her why she's wrong, but she's not even paying attention. She's like leaning over, talking to co-counsel and just looking and she's not even paying attention to the judge as he's ruling against her, but she should be paying attention and showing basic respect. I like this judge. I like him a lot. And I'm really not liking Ms. Nestor. She's driving me crazy. Ms. Lewis, not too bad. I don't mind her so far. Then we have Mr. Ramos, who is also on the defense side. And oh my Lanta, this dude is, he was on one. Oh dude, I swear he thought depending on your generation, he thought he was, Perry Mason, Matlock, the newest thing on Law and Order. Like he was strutting and gesturing. And so I'm going to play a couple of clips of Ramos here. His attitude, he like the way he would approach questions is like everything is a gotcha. And it's so disrespectful. Now, as you're looking at him, notice that if he's looking like toward the camera, that's basically at the witness. If he's turned to our left as we're viewing, he's looking at the jury. He's looking at the jury most of the time, not even at the actual witness. And then he walks back and forth, and then you don't hear him in front of the mic very well because he's moving back and forth across the mic. And he's just arrogant as all get out. And then on top of that, as if that's not, well, you know what? We'll discuss that other part in a moment. But it wasn't just me, okay? It's like, let's just play a couple of his little, oh my lantas. The dude, I swear, I had like no patience left for this guy. And by the end of day one, neither did the judge. It was pretty hilarious. Okay, so watch this.
That Miss Richins' mother was also there, right?
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't know she was there.
Really? I may have 1 second, Judge.
Okay, watch this. He literally stops to get a drink of water from the water cooler. Get your own water bottle. Plan ahead, dude. But he makes the whole court just wait.
I think we all knew that she was there because we just heard Miss Darden say, yeah, he looked pale.
And here, Ramos decides to go off about, oh, you decide what detail to do. He thinks it's a big gotcha, and it's not. This is Officer 1.
Right?
Correct.
Because she told you something about a temperature and you wanted to verify it, correct?
Correct.
But it's only what you want to verify. Correct?
No.
No.
It's not. We'll leave it.
Leave it. It's not. Believe it. If you could listen there at the end, he literally, you could hear him scratching off something and then dropping his pen.
Leave it.
Leave it. Like, oh, fine, we'll leave it. Which is sort of like trying to tell the jury what they should think about it, which that doesn't strike me as cool, dude.
Now, we talked about things that you didn't do.
Watch him again. He's pacing back and forth. He's like gesturing. Oh, and so he's being Mr. Matlock, Mr. Law and Order. And remember, the jury is to our left, his right. And so half the time he's looking at the jury, not at the witness.
Let's talk about one thing you did do. Miss Richins
You can hardly hear him because he's past the mic.
told you how she got into bed and felt Eric's cold body, right?
Yes.
And she starts trying to say, well, I mean, we keep the temperature up, right? Or down, correct?
Sorry. Because Kouri had said, we keep the room cold. And so we keep the temperature up, down. And that actually is like then it's refuted here anyway, but he got it the wrong direction.
Yes.
And what do you do with that piece of information? What do you notice?
Once again, he's past the microphone, makes it hard to hear, but he's a peacock.
That the temperature was set at 70 degrees.
Cold body, and you check thermostat.
Again, staring at the jury, not at the witness.
Correct?
Correct.
And you even make a note that you thought it was a little warm. Correct?
I put down the temperature, correct.
What was the temperature?
70.
And what did it actually read at?
71.
It's like what he's trying to show here is that Officer Wynn and other police officers, they didn't do enough at the scene to search enough at the scene and blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, was you only things that you thought were important or you wanted it, whatever. It's not the gotcha that he thinks it is. For one, yes, Kouri said they could search the house. However, without a search warrant, that can come back to bite the state in the butt. Oftentimes police, and I've heard this from like FBI agents and whatnot and other cases. So again, I'm not a professional, but I've heard this from professionals that it's always smart to just, seize the scene, whatever, wait for an actual search warrant before you do a deep search, because otherwise that could become an appellate issue or evidence could be thrown out because the person can say, well, I didn't know what I was consenting to or blah, blah, blah. So to protect the case, protect the record, you get an actual search warrant before you do a full search. So he's not doing a full search. They're looking for prescription medications to put into the medical log. They're not doing a deep search into, are there illicit drugs? Is there fentanyl somewhere? Are there other opioids, prescription or otherwise? Are there the THC gummies? They're not doing a deep search at this point. They don't have a search warrant yet. And again, you could argue that they had permission, but I can also see why they wouldn't necessarily do that. I don't think it's the gotcha he thinks it is. I just don't. So the other thing I wanted to point out with Ramos that it's a little problematic in my opinion, because yes, I'm petty, is that I feel like he's channeling Jose Baez, who is not my favorite defense attorney. He's a very successful one. He got Casey Anthony off, and he's representing Shanna Gardner in the case against if she's being accused of murdering her husband, Jared Wright, again, coming up later this year. Jose Baez just strikes me as a slime ball. He plays games in court, and he files motions that I think are frivolous, but he also... So he has this attitude that Ramos seems to be trying to mimic, but he also wears suits that are just too small for him. A lot of guys think that, oh, I'll look more muscular if I wear a tight suit. No, you look like a little boy who he's outgrown his suit. That's what it looks like. So Ramos is like, his suit's too small. His tie is so narrow. It's like, what is this, 1963? No, and it makes him look like a little boy on top of that. And then he's got a dark suit and he's wearing brown shoes. You should be wearing like gray or black shoes with that color of suit. Just none of it works. None of it works. And that's on top of his peacocking and his arrogance and just the dismissal. And at the end of day one, even Judge Mrazek was getting annoyed with Ramos. When he actually says, all right, well, actually, see what he's going to say in this clip here is like, I'm not done with it. I'm going to have to keep this witness until tomorrow. Can we end now? And watch the judge's reaction. And there's a point where he tries to get counsel to come to him to the bench. They can discuss things. Ramos misses it entirely. And then the judge has to gesture to him again. And just watch the judge. It's kind of beautiful.
May we rest here and pick it up tomorrow? That way we're not. Is that okay?
Look at the judge's face.
Your Honor, I guess the fundamental question
He closes his laptop.
how much longer?
He gestures like this. And also, how much longer? Because it was going on. His questions, now I know I talk fast. He was talking so slow, pausing, dragging things out. He would take 10 steps between words. It was obnoxious. And so it was like, how much longer is this going to take? And that's the state chiming in. So he's gone like this, and Ramos didn't notice. He does it again. Counsel. I'm sorry. I just think it's hilarious. Even the judge was like, seriously, we're going to go on to tomorrow? And he's like, and he closes his laptop and come here. And nope, come here. I thought it was funny. I found it fascinating when I was watching some of the commentary and recap that the lawyer does. That's Peter is the lawyer there, and he's awesome to listen to, and a lot of fascinating insights. So he listens to trials as during his workday, but he'll listen to them at like triple speed, just listening, and then in the evening he'll show clips and then comment and give us his little feedback, play by play kind of style. So as he was recapping day one, and people in the chat were like, oh gosh, Ramos is driving me crazy. He's so arrogant. He's this and that and the other. And he's like, he made some good points. I don't know why you guys hate him so much. And then as he's watching it, because he had only listened to it, suddenly he's watching Ramos and he's like, oh, no, this is not good. So I'm going to show you a little clip of his show. I'll link to his show. He's a much bigger creator than I am.
He was peacocking. I'm watching it now. I was listening to it before. Watching it, I'm starting to feel more of the vibe of what you guys were saying.
Shot, correct?
A drink?
A drink.
Yes.
Okay. So, he's young, Mr. Richins, correct?
Correct.
You know that the protocol is to have a deputy and a medical examiner come in, correct?
Correct.
Because it's unusual that he died, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So maybe something is in this drink, correct?
Possibly, but...
Possibly. Did you possibly go to the kitchen?
Watch Peter's reaction now.
I did not.
See, I don't like when, I don't know if I'm letting you guys convince me or if watching this is like making it so much worse. But see, I don't like how he said, possibly. Did you possibly go to the kitchen? It's like, you didn't need that. And then did he just look at the jury and point at the witness to tell the witness to answer? Didn't like that either. Timu Alan Jackson, somebody said. Oh boy.
You did not. Did you possibly?
So Alan Jackson is the defense lawyer who defended Karen Reed. So he's an amazing lawyer. So yeah, the team of Alan Jackson, he's trying to be the big tough guy and he's not working.
Look in the sink.
I did not.
You did not.
Oh, gross. Oh, the pointing is gross. No. I would have objected and been like, Judge, can you not tell him to point? Can you tell the lawyer not to point at the witness when he wants an answer? Oh, no. I can't do the pointing. The way he at times looked away from the witness as he was asking the questions was disgusting. Yeah. So I listened, I didn't watch. And I thought he made some great points, some very, 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 very good points. But oh boy, watching it is a different vibe.
That was very validating when Peter was like, oh gosh, now that I'm seeing it, oh, that's not cool at all. Because it was so bad. So it didn't matter, in my opinion, what good arguments he made, because his attitude was just, I'm sure the jury was like, I heard that some were smiling and people interpreted that as, oh, they must like him. I think they were laughing at him. Who is this guy? He thinks he's so amazing. Like the points he was making weren't that big and dramatic. So here's the thing that I found hilarious. The lawyer, Peter Stout, he's a big creator, and a lot of lawyers know him and know that his followers and his chat tend to have the pulse on things. And in fact, he does polls at the end of trials to see where everybody is, if you've been following the case, and do you think it's going to be guilty or not guilty or hung or whatever. And his chat is almost always correct. If it's like a 90%, whatever, that's been always correct. If it's a smaller split, like 40-60, then sometimes they're off. But if it's a strong response in the poll, they've always been correct. So lawyers are watching this. And so I was wondering, and the people in the comments and the thread, were just eviscerating Ramos. And so I was wondering, would he change the next day? Would he be aware whether it was from that channel or someone else commenting on his performance, and would he change it up? And he did. Day 2, completely different guy. So here's Ramos on day 2. It's almost unrecognizable. Like literally, like who was this guy? First of all, notice his suit is different.
Okay. Yes.
Right.
So he's got a different suit. It's a gray suit instead of this dark one. And it does fit him better. He probably didn't have time to go out and get a brand new suit, but this suit's a little looser than the last one. Now, this is Officer Wynn still on the stand. Again, he was on the stand for hours the day before, and now he's on the stand again. And listen to Ramos, I don't know, how he speaks to him.
Now, again, to be fair, you're not the one who provided this to Ms. Richins, correct?
That is correct.
And you don't know what instructions were given to Ms. Richins, correct?
Even his tie is whiter. His tie is whiter. His suit is better fitted, and he's not yelling correct. Oh, right. And he's not. He's the level of. He's still asking the same questions, but without the barb. It's significant. It's a significant difference. Let's see. Here's another witness that was on the stand on day 2. Watch how he talks to her.
Ms. Larson, the state just asked you about what would have been put in the bag and if it would have followed it, and then OME would have received it. I want to talk to you about that, okay?
Okay.
As I recall, you actually have to escort the decedent out, correct? Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And that was for whoever you contracted with.
Is this even the same guy? Correct? Yes. Okay. He has a softer tone. It's respectful. It's not in your face. It's a lower volume. He's facing the witness. There's an idea. It's a completely different guy. I have to give the guy props. He learned from whatever commentary it was. I'm glad he paid attention, because you were not helping your client with the way you were acting before. And finally, I wanted to show just that Kouri I think she's starting to get nervous. She's done a pretty good job of keeping a poker face for the most part. She does a lot of licking her lips and biting her lips. I'm like, you're going to need some serious Vaseline at this point. You're going to dry out, and you're going to get chapped lips at this point. But she's kept a pretty good poker face. But I caught this right at the end of day 2. She's just like, she's starting to bounce in her seat and kind of shake a little bit. It's subtle, but I think she's starting to get nervous, and understandably so. It makes sense to me. Day 2, we had a bunch of people from the office of the medical examiner, autopsy people. So we had a forensic scientist. Let's see, I had a whole list here. Yeah, we had various deputies. We had a morgue clerk. We had a forensic pathologist. We had an autopsy assistant / autopsy supervisor. And then we ended the day with Chelsea Gibson, who was kind of in charge of collecting and maintaining evidence. And so they brought her back for day 3 for an hour. So they started at 8:30 in the morning, went for an hour. And then Judge Mrazek said that there is a conflict on the docket, that he has to handle something else. It'll just take an hour from 9:30 to 10:30. We'll take a break. An hour and 10-ish minutes later, he comes back and says, okay, just kidding. We're going to recess for the day. Come back tomorrow at 8:30. And so poor Chelsea Gibson, evidence woman, has to come back for a third day. And as far as I know, we don't have an explanation if it's an issue with this case or the other conflict that he was dealing with at 9:30, if that expanded and turned into something more complicated. Don't know. But the trial is expected to last 5 to 6 weeks, if I understand correctly, and we're only on day 3. So we've got a long way to go, and we'll have to see where things end up. We've covered a lot of very tedious scientific stuff. We haven't even gotten into digital evidence yet. All of this has just been the autopsy and that kind of thing. Stuff that was collected at the scene, the 3 different searches, and the pictures where you can see the little dots. That's where the evidence was found, and there's 3 different colors that mark for 3 different searches that happened. One in 2023, one in 2024, one in 25. So the house has been searched 3 separate times looking for documents, for drugs, for a variety of things. And you can argue that they should have looked for these things earlier, whatnot. Not the night of, in my opinion. You needed an actual search warrant to do what they found later, or what they were looking for later at the very least. And there's a lot we don't know. There were several cell phones. I'm curious about that they brought up. I think there was at least 3 that they got at the house. So I think Kouri had a separate phone with her boyfriend. There was also a phone, I think her boyfriend's phone that they had. And then they also mentioned a phone. They just dropped this name. And then they had to quickly object and not bring that in, specifically anyone's name. Hayden Jeffs. So they have his cell phone. And he was a handyman that Kouri had hired. And there's some texts, I guess, that were incriminating against her. And so apparently he was 35 years old, died in a motorcycle accident. I'm curious, how much of an accident? Is this odd if he knew stuff and suddenly dies? That's weird. So we don't know. But his phone was part of a search warrant, and they will find out, I guess, what was on that and how it's related to this case. I believe it has something to do with accessing the drugs that Kouri allegedly got. I think Kouri is probably cooked. The state has not yet proven everything. They still have a ways to go before they reach that point, but I think they have plenty of room to show and plenty of evidence yet to show. And there's a lot of question marks of Kouri's acting weird. She's doing weird things. She has plenty of motive, the oldest motives in the book. The biggest trick will be proving that how the fentanyl got into his body. If the preponderance of the circumstantial evidence convinces the jury that Kouri did it, that will be one direction. But if there is reasonable doubt in this case, it will be whether he accidentally took it himself or something like that, in my opinion. I think she did it on purpose because she had all the motives in the world. Whether they can prove it, I don't know, but I suspect they will. We'll find out. That's just my opinion at this point. Again, I'm not a professional. This is just opinion on alleged things. Go look up things on yourself and form your own opinion. Let me know what you think. Follow along and comment below and let me know. I'll be continuing on with this case and with all my fun and my snark. So catch you next time.